everyone. My name's Anuya Shetty. I am the social media manager for Fownd, and today we're starting a podcast series where we get to know some of the members of Fownd and get to know more about notation and why you should check it out. Today we're joined by Christina Rama, the founder and president of Fownd. Christina, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really excited. So we're gonna jump right in. Do you want to give us just a little background about you and kind of what you did and your job?
Yeah. So I'm a physical therapist and I've been a physical therapist for over 15 years and I have had the opportunity to work in a lot of different settings, from outpatient to neuro, to hospitals, home health, with the majority being in outpatient. And it's just really fun to kind of see how PT kind of spans across these different disciplines and how there's differences, but there's also things that are kind of the same. So
Yeah. So what kind of motivated you to found, I guess, from that experience as a physical therapist?
yeah, so I think like a lot of us, I just hit the point where, documentation was taking over my day. I'd stay after to document when I was after seeing patients, and I'd take the notes home, trying to finish them at night. And, I always just still felt behind. It was really hard to catch up. And that was across all settings.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, well, is it just me? Am I just slow? Do I need to get better at what I'm doing? But then, I talked to other PTs and this was something that, seemed to be across the board. And it's kind of like this for everybody.
Hmm.
So, it's not just that documentation was pulling us and taking our time at night, but it was also during the session, it was making it harder
Yeah.
to be, present with the patient. So, there were a lot of different EMRs and tools that I used throughout the different settings, but none of them really felt like they were built around kind of the natural rhythm of how PT flows. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what really pushed me to start Fownd. I wanted to build something that actually understood the way that we move and how we treat, how we think and flow, and also make it be something that can document alongside us in real time so that by the end of the session, the note is done as well so that
Hmm.
we can save that time. So, that was kind of the goal, is to not replace therapists, but to give time back and help them focus on what matters, which is the patient.
Yeah. So you were kind of filling that gap that you saw when you're kind of investigating that problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but obviously there are a lot of AI scribes, as we said, there are other
Mhm.
tools out there. How does notation specifically set itself apart from those AI scribes that people might already be using?
Yeah. So, first of all, we are PT led, um, company. So this is something that wasn't just built by somebody who doesn't understand physical therapy. It's built
Mhm.
by physical therapists. And the thing that's different is some of these other ones are more like a scribe, where you'll get the note after the fact and then you can edit.
Yeah.
Whereas ours runs alongside your any EMR, and makes your note live, so you can kind of see it actually happening.
Hmm.
And that allows you to make edits whenever you want, or you can just kind of see what comes out and then edit it at the end too. But it also gives you, cues as to what maybe you're missing. So
Right.
it has like little chips. And so if you forgot to ask a question that you're going to need for insurance, it just gives you that little nudge that tells you, oh, I should probably ask this question real quick.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think the other thing that will make us different is we're working on video at capture as well. So that's something in the works down the line, so that we'll capture, not just range of motion, but functional movement, home exercise program clips. And you can kind of use it also for gait analysis as well.
Okay.
And then the last thing I think that is a big difference is we have everything in our own infrastructure. So we're not putting like a wrapper on, ChatGPT or Google AI. It's all locally owned by us, so none of the
Yeah.
information leaves us into and goes into anything else. Um, so, and then I think the the last little point is a lot of these scribes that are coming out are kind of being bolted on to existing
Mhm.
EMRs, whereas ours was built with AI in mind. So the flow really is with how PTs actually treat and go through a session. So I think that'll make it easier for PTs to get through it quicker, less clicking, less interactions,
Mhm.
but it still keeps them in control.
Sorry. Um, so obviously a lot of these tools are amazing and they're really, I think, PT focused and really like benefits for the PT, but this interaction is PT and patient as well. So how does this tool also benefit the patient in this situation?
Yeah, I think if the PT is not as focused on the note, then they can be more focused on the patient.
Right.
And the patient will be more heard. The quality of care can go up because they'll have more time to spend with them one on one versus having, a computer in front of them while they're trying to treat. Um, so I think for the patient experience, that will be a big deal. They will be able to ask more questions. The PT will be able to see more of the little things they may have missed if they were documenting. So I
Mhm.
think overall quality of care and just, how happy the patient is with the care and how well they're able to connect with their PT, I think will be a big thing for patients.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, we've talked a lot about the different features. Do you have a favorite, or is there like a sneak peek we can get into something new or something coming up that people should be interested in and excited for?
Yeah, so my favorite is the
It's
shorthand to text.
hmm
I don't know if it'll be everybody's favorite, but it's my favorite because I know that sometimes typing out those long sentences can take a long time. And while we do have the ability for us to kind of talk to the platform and have things filled in the objective section, I think just being able to quickly jot something down like, tenderness in a certain muscle,
Yeah.
um, it'll, and then have it make it into a full, complete, and compliant sentence for what you would need for documentation is big. So you just kind of type in the little thing and it fits out the whole line. And I think that can be a big time saver. The other thing I like is just how fast it is and that you can actually see it building the note while you're
hmm
treating. You can just, if there's little things that pop up and you're like, oh, I don't want that rope, you can just quickly get rid of it. So you're not spending a lot of time after the fact, editing. You can just do it on the fly as well. So those are some of my favorite ones right now.
Okay. And we kind of talked earlier about like the camera tool as well, and just these other tools like the shorthand tool and everything. On the
Yeah.
topic of AI, a big
hmm
concern is kind of how integrated it's becoming into our daily life. And
Yeah.
um, then the concern becomes privacy. With how
Right.
much information AI is inputting, how much privacy are we getting? And just how are we keeping that boundary? So, how is found and while building notation, keeping that in mind to keep that boundary with the patient as well as the PT's information?
Yeah, so we're kind of tackling that in a few different ways. First of all, our platform can run with no PHI or PII. So you
Mhm.
don't even have to put any patient information in to get it going. So that can kind of be one way that, you can protect the patient. Another is, like I said before, all of our platform is kind of run within our own infrastructure. So that information doesn't get sent off
Mhm.
to a third party. And then we built our platform, based on HIPAA guidelines. And we're currently working on being HIPAA and SOC 2 compliant. So we're hoping in the next couple weeks that we'll get those certifications as well so that people really know that all their information is safe.
Perfect. So we kind of tackled the privacy aspect of AI, but then another concern with AI is the cost. It's expensive to integrate and to create as a tool, and then some people are concerned about how that cost will transfer over to users of those platforms. So, I mean, I know the early access is free for this platform, but do you want to kind of
Mhm.
address to clinic owners who are concerned about ROI and the bottom line and just any potential disruption?
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair question. And yeah, their clinics are already kind of on razor thin margins. So I think that makes a fair question. And we do know that AI can be expensive, and that's one of the reasons why we made notation free during this early access, so that you can see the value before you fully commit. We think there's value in the time that's saved. So 1 to 1.5 hours per therapist. Um, a day, that can be used in whatever way that PTs or the clinic think is useful, whether that's just more downtime, more time with their patients, or, just a way to reduce burnout. Um, and then if people really want to know what the savings would be, we actually do have an ROI calculator on our website,
Mm-hmm.
Fownd.care. So the owners, can plug in their numbers and kind of get, real numbers back. And
Okay.
then I think the other thing is that we can run alongside any EMR. So you don't have to, invest in a whole new EMR system. You can keep with what you've already chosen, and we just run alongside that. So I think if we're not saving you time and putting value in your clinic, then we haven't done our job.
Finally, just kind of ending off our conversation for anyone that's on the fence about looking into Found or trying out notation, what would you say?
Yeah, so I know, there is some hesitancy around AI, but we all kind of build a little automation into our life, from how we commute to how we manage our day. And if you think about it, AI can just kind of fit in there. So imagine finding like 1 to 2 extra hours every day where you don't have to stress about, how
Mhm.
a note is written or whether you're hitting everything for compliance. And that's kind of what we're giving people. And, again, you don't have to worry about switching EMR. It just goes right alongside what you have already. Um, it's really easy to use. And, right now, obviously, it's free. So you can play around with it. You don't have to use any of your patient information. It
Mhm.
can, work just fine without any of that. So, um, worst case, you walk away with some clarity. Best case, you get your time and, mental energy back at the end of the day.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. This was Christina Rama, the founder and president of Found. Again, I'm Anuya Shetty, the social media manager for Found, and we're excited to see what we do next on this podcast series.